Cinegraph is an improvised visualization created for the purpose of exploring the InfoVis 2007 contest dataset, in particular the different attributes of the Internet Movie Database, which includes movies, people and their roles, the genres of movies, the Oscars won, and data about individual films such as the release date, the number of ratings, the average rating, and the box office take for each movie. So in this improvised visualization, which is very similar to many other improvised visualizations, you can noodle about in a variety of ways in order to explore the high-dimensional aspects of the movie. So for example, I might be interested in movies with very high ratings. So let me go in here and pick Eternal Sunshine and say down here to Batman Begins. So I'll select that set. And I might be interested then in seeing which dates those movies were released on, and so I can go over here and I can say filter dates by movie date by movie name, and I can see which dates those were released on. And of course there are only a few, so this is a fairly sparse calendar here. We can also see the counts on the days in which were released, so we can immediately see that either for a selected set or not, the vast majority of movies are released on Friday. And if you explore around here for a while, you find out that Thanksgiving and Christmas are always the two exceptions to that particular rule. I don't think there's a case in here of that happening. So one of the interesting things is you can cross-filter on the different dimensions, whether you're talking about the movie, the release date, the genre, the roles, the people, the Oscars, and so on. So for these selected movies, I might be interested in seeing the genre and the distribution of genres by rating for those selected movies. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter a genre on the selected movie name, and you can see 2 action films from those 10, 4 crime films, and all of fairly uniformly high ratings, of course, because we selected the high rating ones here. If I go back in here and select all movies, then we can actually see that, for example, there are 100 movies that have the action genre. What I might do then is say I'm interested in action, so I will come back here, and now I'm going to filter movies on genre, and now I can see only the ones that are action or adventure or animation and so on. At this point I might say, okay, here are a few high-ranked animation movies. Let's see which people were involved. So now I'm going to filter people on the names that I've selected, and I can see that, of course, Willem Dafoe and Samuel Jackson were voice actors for 2 of those movies. And if we can see that Willem Dafoe was in Finding Nemo, Samuel Jackson was in The Incredibles, and we have no actors listed here for Shrek because we're dealing with a very much smaller database. So we can actually look across all of these. So if I might be interested in Best Directing Oscars, in which case I can filter the movies, I can turn off these other filters, and then I might filter movies on Oscar type, and we can see these 5 movies that got Best Directing Oscars or Best Picture Oscars. And then I might say, okay, well that's interesting. We have the Best Picture. Let's select all 5, and now we're going to filter genre on name, and we can see where Best Picture movies tend to come from in terms of genre, and of course it's heavily dominated by drama. Now what's going on here is there's an attribute relationship graph. This can be thought of as the second level in a data cube. It's essentially a multi-graph of co-occurrence relationships within and between the multiple tables that make up the Internet Movie Database. So I might be interested in these movies that I've picked. I've got animation genre selected. These movies, none of which are animation movies, and so of course it's not going to show anything at all. So what I might do is go back here and filter, unfilter some of these things. I'm going to keep those filtered, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all genres. And now what we're showing in the graph are the relationships between the genres and the individual movies. Now, something that immediately pops out here, and this occurs for pretty much all movies, is that there are, in a sense, too many genres listed for every single movie in the Internet Movie Database. You can see here that A Beautiful Mind is a mystery, and a comedy, and crime, and a drama. And Gladiators, action, and romance, and adventure, and drama, and The Departed apparently is a musical. That seems a little interesting. So we can look for other relationships as well. So for example, we want to see who played in particular movies, in these Oscar-winning movies. So let's turn on people names. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to filter people on movies. And I have to remember which one it is. There we go. So here are 5 people of the set that we have who were in these 5 movies, and they should be here somewhere. And if I connect up movie names with people names, I know what the problem is. I need to actually select the people. The graph only shows the selected items in the other views, and that's what I was forgetting to do. So we can see that Matt Damon, Alec Baldwin, and Anthony Anderson were all together in The Departed. Josh Lucas was in A Beautiful Mind, and Morgan Freeman was in $1 Million Baby. What's more, we can turn on the actual Oscar types, and maybe we'll select all Oscars now. And you can see that there are actually many more movies for non-directing Oscars, and I'm going to connect up the Oscars with the movie names. So let's see here, Oscar type with movie name, and you can actually see that we're forming a multi-graph here, where Josh Lucas was in A Beautiful Mind, which won a supporting actress and a directing and a Best Picture Oscar. Now you'll note that Josh Lucas isn't actually the one who won them. He was just associated with a film that won those things. And if we were to dig deeper, of course, we'd find, I believe it was Jennifer Connelly who won supporting actress for that one. One of the things that I'd done to filter to keep things kind of small and computationally feasible was to filter out all people who had less than 10 total roles of one form or another in the Internet Movie Database. So something else that you can do here is you can actually filter dynamically on the number, the rating, and box office numbers. This is pretty computationally heinous because it regenerates just about everything that you see. But if I, for example, filter down to very high ratings and then filter the movies on rating, like so, we can see that we only have the high ratings, and I can actually dynamically filter to select a particular slice that I might be interested in. Or I might be interested in movies that had high box office numbers, in which case I could, of course, do it by sorting as well. We can see some very high numbers here. I might select some of the very high ranking ones and start to get an idea of the relationship between the high earning films and the Oscars. And we can even do it dynamically where we scroll up, and then if we actually just select a few of these, then we can see, for example, The Aviator, which made $103 million and had 4 different Oscars, and Alec Baldwin was one of the actors in that. So there you go.